But our pal Michael Phillips joins us, host of the MP on the Mike Show, 910 The Fan in Richmond. He's on the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude, the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. What's up, MP?
Hey, fellas, how we doing?
So we were having kind of a heated debate about whether the defense has gotten better. We understand that this is very early in the process, but how do you see it so far?
The defense has gotten different, right? John Allen comes out, Kinlaw comes in. I don't know that anybody would suggest that's an upgrade on paper for next year's team, right? Will Harris in, Jeremy Chin out. I think that's the one that I would sell you on as maybe being a little bit more of an upgrade. But I can tell you, I was maybe a little more down on Jeremy Chin than the average person. I think he kind of coasted off the Frankie Louvu love, like they were a package deal from Carolina. Everybody's like, the Carolina guys. Louvu was always the guy who was dominant out of that duo, I felt. It's weird. Big picture, it's weird because all we've heard about this new regime and Lance Newmark and Adam Peters is they're so good at drafting. They love to dominate in the draft, and we saw that last year. Basically, everybody they picked was awesome. And now they're giving away the draft picks for these guys. And we're hearing that it's a bad draft class, but it's still a little confusing to me that why you wouldn't want to have as many draft picks as you can, given that's how these guys do their business.
So here's why I trust them inherently at this point, because last year at this time, when the Commanders were plucking guys like Ertz and Eckler off the free agent pile, nobody was thrilled about those names. People were looking at Ertz like, does he have anything left in the tank? They were looking at Eckler kind of the same way, like, is he approaching that wall that a lot of running backs approach when they get close to 30? And both of those guys were hyper productive. I mean, Eckler was sidelined by concussion issues, but when he was in the lineup, he was really good. So I look at like these pickups, like, pick up Will Harris instead of Chin. Like I trust this brain trust that they have in place to make the right moves to improve the team.
Oh, no question about it. They've earned our trust. I mean, on my scorecard, they've had two misses. Marshawn Lattimore was a miss, obviously, and I think Luke McCaffrey has been to date. But I don't think anybody's writing him off. He could have a great training camp, come back and play really well next year. Everything else has just been an absolute smashing success. Yeah, so you have to just fully trust this crew. I think the thing they're going to have to balance over these next couple of years is, you've got 3 years of this window, which so few teams ever get this luxury. Rookie quarterback who's so good his first year. So you get 3 years of a cost-controlled Jaden Daniels. You can do kind of whatever you want in each of these 3 years and not worry about the salary cap. Most teams, the rookie quarterback comes along, has an all right first season, good the second year, maybe dominant the third. You push all your chips in that fourth year. They can essentially push the chips in 3 times over the next 3 years. So I think it'll just be a matter of balancing that, right? How do you do that in a way that, you don't go too crazy this year, because you're going to have 2 more bites at this apple, which is it's an incredible opportunity.
And Michael, I think that was the real catalyst for making the Laramie Tunsil deal. Like if Jaden Daniels wasn't as good in year 1 as he was, you probably don't swing that deal because, that guy's making top of the market money. He's going to want an extension. He's got 2 years left on his deal. They probably don't pull the trigger on that move if Jaden wasn't spectacular in year 1.
I agree, and that's the most important thing you can do right now is keep Jaden upright. He's the future. If he gets hurt in any of these 3 seasons, you just write it off and you hope Marcus Mariota sneaks him into the playoffs, with the wild card or something like that. He's the difference. Everybody sees that, and so you can't overinvest in him and his development and his protection. And that is the position. You'll never hear me complain about overpaying for an offensive lineman or a tackle. I'm a huge Sam Cosmi guy, but I think there's very legitimate questions given the injury he sustained and when he sustained it, right? You may need to do something on that side of the line as well to make sure you're good early in the year. We've seen it from the Eagles, right? They were down 2 centers in that NFC title game, just kept rolling. Next guy up, he came in, they had the depth. I will never complain about overpaying for offensive line talent because that's all about keeping the quarterback right.
All right, so let's get back to the defensive side because that's what we were debating earlier. And I'm sure you spent time on the show on your show talking about it. We talked about Myles Garrett possibilities, Trey Hendrickson possibilities. Then we talked about some of these guys who've already been signed, like Josh Sweat and Khalil Mack. All those guys are gone, right? Except for Hendrickson. But let's be honest, I don't think Washington has the draft capital now to make a move for him. What do they do now? Do they bring back an unhappy Dante Fowler? What do you do?
Money solves those love problems, right? If he's not feeling the love, there's ways to get a guy to feel the love that, are financial. And that may have been in relation to how other teams showed him love as well in the early stages of free agency. So, you nailed it. Everybody good kind of went off the board or got franchise tagged or got taken care of early or is too expensive. It was a weird free agency class. It was kind of perceived as a dud class, and then the best players went off the board there before it even started, before I guess we officially start this afternoon, but everybody knows we've started. I don't know what you'd do. I think probably right now, best guess is they're using that first round draft pick on a pass rusher. And you're hoping for that Adam Peters magic, right? That he hits on that. And that's an impact rookie next year. Cause it sure feels like the best path to getting production out of that position.
So EB got kind of upset because I said that I feel like they're kind of running it back with the defense. All right. I understand there's going to be different guys, but the main players,
48 hours into free agency,
it feels like they're running it back. Is that outrageous to say that, MP?
I just, who are they going to get to make it better the way you want to make? I'm inclined to agree with that statement. I think they will largely run it back on defense. Yeah. Who are they going to get that's going to radically change
presumably, I presume they're going to draft a stud end and probably a stud corner at the top of their 100 picks. They'll probably they have two right now. They'll probably have a couple more. Two guys that they expect to start, I think. I think you're getting a better by addition by subtraction just by getting rid of guys like St. Just. I think the other guys are a wash. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to run it back the 31st ranked defense. No, I don't believe that.
31st against the run. They were 13th overall, to be fair.
Yeah, they certainly weren't 31st. I think probably they would have been in the Joey Bosa game if they were looking to be true impact players on defense. You look at the deal he got, they certainly would have been able to accommodate that cap-wise. And there's knowledge there, obviously. They know who he is and what he's capable of. That tells me they're looking to go young there. I agree with you. I think they're going to draft at both those positions. Wouldn't surprise me if they get a linebacker in as well. Every year a Bobby Wagner is a gift, but one is probably the realistic number of years you're going to get out of him. So you got some major pieces you need to put in place. I just don't know, at pick 29, I think in a lot of ways we got to recalibrate how we view the draft. We're so used to drafting stud guys who drop in and play right away because these guys have always picked, before we go to sleep on draft night. Now they're at the end of the night. It's a different caliber of player there, and we're hearing this isn't a great draft class. So, my expectations are tempered, but I agree with y'all that Adam Peters has earned our full trust here. Whoever he brings in, I'm going to choose to be excited about him the next day.
Talking to Michael Phillips, host of the MP on the Mike Show on 910 The Fan in Richmond, comes on right after us, before AWOD. All right, so if we ask you to make a bet on which of these receivers the Commanders will bring back who are free agents, because Cakes and I made a bet on this. You've got Noah Brown, you got OZ, Olamide Zaccheaus, you got Jamison Crowder. I guess you got KJ Osborne, but whatever.
They're not going to have him.
Which of those guys do you think comes back?
I think it was Noah Brown. I mean, he had that mysterious health thing where they had the bye week and then he kind of just didn't come back, and it was kind of always shrouded in a little bit of mystery. So,
because I think it was pretty serious, from what I understand. Yeah,
and wasn't wasn't something that it was weird. And it may have been serious. So obviously, there's a big health question to be answered there. But I think he was the most productive of all those guys. The beauty of Olamide Zaccheaus was he'd been on good teams. He'd been he was a veteran guy. He could run the routes. He could do the things. you needed that in year one, right? You can only handle so much in one training camp where you're trying to overhaul things. Everybody knows the offense next year coming in, so that's a lot less of an advantage. He's a UVA guy. I like him. I covered him forever ago. But the advantage there really isn't an advantage. Everybody knows the offense now. Everybody can run routes now. It's Brown if he's healthy. I think the upside of bringing Crowder in is just he can do returns. With Austin Eckler having another concussion at the end of the year, I don't want him returning punts and kicks in any capacity this year. I think that's just too dangerous of a game to play with him, especially they're going to tweak the rules again, it looks like, try to create more kickoff returns, off of the new kickoff. So I think that's the upside of Crowder. I don't think he brings a ton of receiver upside. I say that as a guy who enjoys him and also covered him in multiple stints here. But on the whole, if anybody's standing on the table for any of these guys, Crowder, Zacchaeus, whatever, you're shooting too low. You're still living in the past. This is an NFC title game team. You stand on the table for big impact players, because that's where this team is right now. The days of standing on the table for guys who other teams might not even take is long gone.
Michael, what do you see as the role for second-year lineman Brandon Coleman with Laramie Tunsil coming to town? Obviously, Tunsil will start at left tackle. Do you shift Coleman over to right tackle? Do you kick him inside? What do you see happening there?
And most scouts saw him as a guard initially, not a tackle. That was why he slid to the third round. That was, probably the best of all the Adam Peters draft moves. How many GMs in this league have found a left tackle that late in the draft? It's a small list. So, he overshot to begin with. He got incredible production, more than you could have possibly hoped for. But the initial tag on him from all the scouts was, this guy's a guard. So I think, as long as you feel comfortable with what you've got at right tackle, I think he can really bolster your depth inside and give you a pretty good line, especially if Cosme can't go week one. You're going to need to shuffle those guards around, figure that situation out. My best guess right now is he goes guard, but clearly he can do either.
So we started off asking you about the defense, whether it got better or for worse, if they're running it back, that sort of thing. So let's turn to the offense. They scored 28.5 points per game. Fantastic with Jaden Daniels. What do you think Tunsil and Debo add to the offense? It's definitely better, but it already was really good.
I like Debo because this is going to be a weird running backs year. Last year it was so nobody pays a running back, only a sucker does that. And then Saquon has his year, and obviously Derrick Henry has his year. It's a reactionary league, right? So everybody's going to go get a running back this year. Oh, shoot, we undervalued running back. We got to pay. This is the year to be out of the running back market. And so I love bringing in a guy like Debo Samuel, who inherently makes the running game better without having to go get a running back. He allows you to run it back with B-Rob and Eckler. And, maybe, a couple months ago you say, do you want to run it back with B-Rob and Eckler? I'm maybe hemming and hawing a little bit about that. But now I feel like with Debo, obviously with James' running ability, I think you got enough of a running game there, and you got enough, of a dynamic presence to make that group even better. I think it allows you to stay out of what's going to be a weird running back market. Apparently there's going to be 3 or 4 of them taken in the first round of the draft, which I just tell you right now, I do not get that at all. That feels like a big overreaction to me. So I think it allows them to stay out of that business right now, which is probably a good thing.
Go ahead, Cakes.
Oh, no, it was just me. I wanted to just speak more globally, just to your point that you've mentioned a few times about giving this group the benefit of the doubt. I'm not used to doing that here locally because I'm used to attacking them for 30 years. But I really do think this group has earned it. However, in that same vein, as I've said many times, I think the Lattimore thing's going to blow up in their face. Sure. I think they're pot committed on this. If you had, so I think that's their biggest whiff so far. They're human. They're not perfect. They're going to make mistakes. I think that one's a big one. Do you have one that jumps out at you?
Yeah. I get why they're going to bring him to training camp, because if he gets, if he's right, if he's playing well, that solves a position that's really hard to solve right now in the NFL. I just think the odds of that happening are really small. And, those guys don't age gracefully. Those big talk, big play, number one guys. And somebody suggested the other day, called in and said, well, why don't you just move them to number 2? And I don't think guys like that play on number 2 on the depth chart, or at least not well. I'd love to be proven wrong there, but yeah, that's the one for me. And it feels silly to say this on March 12th with Jaden Daniels on our local football team that just went to the NFC title game. So I'm enormously happy about everything. Would love to get a real kicker in here, though.
Thank
at some
you.
point, though.
Thank you.
That one's hovering too.
Oh, I love you, Michael.
You're not
I
a
love you
Zane
for bringing
Gonzalez
that up.
guy?
You're
What
my
happened
guy.
to Seibert?
You're my spirit animal,
Cyber
Michael.
just got hurt. He just got hurt. And the problem is his short kickoffs.
They forgot about Seibert?
No, the short kickoffs are damning.
Guy went 7 for 7 in the game.
Yeah. I also hope they get rid of this strategy of just letting them return kicks. I hate that. Just kick the effing thing out of the end zone.
Well, I think they're changing the rules so that everybody's going to have to run it back next year. So they really want kickoff returns, and whatever.
Is that really true? Have I missed that? Are they really doing that?
They want to make the touchback go to the 35, not the 30, to incentivize actually kicking it to them this year. So, to me, if you start every possession at the 35, every possession is essentially a field goal. Like, we're one step
Better
away
get a
from
field
going.
goal. Yep.
Yeah, you're one step away from just playing 7-on-7 and doing Big 12 style, 50 to 45. But the people love offense. I'm not going to Chris Russell this and complain about how they don't run the ball enough. People love offense. Give them their offense.
All right, Michael. Good stuff. It's Michael Phillips. You can listen to him right after us. Host the MP on the Mike Show on 910 The Fan in Richmond. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, Michael.
Take care, guys.
Yep. Man, I didn't know he was so vociferous against the kickers like your pal here.
Mm-hmm.
You love to have brothers in arms.
I do.
I'm a kicker guy.
I think you have a lot when it comes to their kicker situation.
Of course I do.
I think he went 5. Now, he hit like all his extra points and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you go, 5 for 7, I think? I think that's what he went.
Missed
down
one or
the stretch
two,
for
and
him.
Cakes just wants him to die.
No,
I mean, it's crazy.
Death is way too punitive.
Yeah.
Just don't be on the roster.
But just think about the guys they had ever since they signed Brandon McManus a year ago. It was McManus, and I'm probably going to miss somebody. I think Cade York.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of York after one game.
Right.
Then they brought in Seibert.
And
Seibert walked
was
away.
actually pretty good.
In their defense, they had a disaster explode. It was unforeseen, this McManus situation. They had it resolved. And I'm not sure the kicker cost them maybe one game.
Not really. I mean,
I'm not even sure if it did.
Yeah.
Well, the Cowboys
so they
game.
got so the Cowboy game.
I mean, that was a massive.
That's true.
Miss.
Extra point.
Well, what also killed them was not tackling the freaking kick returner. That also killed them.
Yeah.
Adam Peters, I know probably won't for 2025. Just put
they did a
kicker
pretty good job.
Just put kicker on the list. It can be way down the list, but just add it to the list.
If they draft a
It's on his
kicker,
list.
you'll murder him. You'll murder him if they draft a kicker.
I don't want him drafting a kicker. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what the teams did 30 years ago with Sebastian Janikowski. Those
Worked out
days are
pretty
over.
good.
Okay, just find a reliable kicker that's out on the street, that's unemployed.